What's going on, everyone? I'm Phantom, and welcome to my guide to Shinbi in Predecessor. In this video, I will outline every ability, show you common combos, and explain Shinbi's playstyle and role in teamfights. If you want to jump to any particular part of the video, check the description for timestamps. If you want to see more guides in the future, be sure to subscribe. Without further ado, I hope this helps. Shinbi the Luminary may have just come out today as of the time I've recorded this, but I can already tell she's not only the offlaner that she's labeled as in-game. I can definitely suggest playing her in the jungle, and in fact, that's where I prefer her to be. Right now, it's really hard for her to go against characters like Steel or Grux in the offlane anyway, so I much prefer the jungle playstyle, and she's an assassin, so being able to be all over the map all the time is fantastic. A great Shinbi will snowball into the late game and have her enemies fearing getting anywhere near her. She's fantastic at shutting down AD carries, and she's even better at taking out squishy mid laners as needed. So I definitely recommend focusing these very specific low health targets and try to avoid attacking any tanks. Shinbi's passive is Biting Melody. This grants bonus magical damage to her basic attacks, and periodically spikes this damage buff by 4 times on a cooldown. This cooldown is reduced by 1 second whenever Shinbi deals damage to an enemy hero. This is a great passive for boosting your overall damage output, and you should make sure to plan your engagements around this cooldown. This passive has both a visual and audible cue. As you can see in the background, the sword is glowing, and as you can hear in just a moment, it is dazzling. Shinbi's basic attack is a physical damage melee attack. Shinbi's right mouse button is Rushing Beat. Dash forward and deal magic damage to all enemies you pass through. This dash can be re-triggered within 3 seconds of casting to dash a second time at no cost. This ability's cooldown starts after the first dash and is totally unaffected by whether or not you dash a second time. This is not only a fantastic movement ability for Shinbi, but it's also a great damage dealer in a pinch. Just keep in mind that the cooldown is fairly long, though it will be much more forgiving once you build ability haste. This dash can be used mid-air with no drop in altitude during the dash. This means that you can use it to jump and almost fly over walls and other barriers. If you hold down right mouse button, your second dash will happen immediately after the first with no delay or drop in altitude. You can use this dash to lead your enemies off of a ledge and dash back onto the ledge as they fall down. I recommend unlocking Rushing Beat at level 3, as it will mostly be used to all-in and or flank enemy heroes, which typically doesn't happen until after the 3rd level. I usually only put further points into this ability after fully leveling Q and E first. Do keep in mind that this dash always exclusively happens in a straight line in front of you and cannot be used backwards or left to right. The distance of this dash also cannot be changed by directional input. Shinbi's Q is Line Tempo. This sends a Spirit Wolf in a straight line from Shinbi, passing through and damaging all enemy targets. This deals plenty of magical damage and has a very short cooldown and mana cost, so in the late game, you can spam this ability almost constantly. In the jungle, be sure to have this pass through as many jungle minions at once as possible. In lane, it works great for clearing waves in much the same way. This is your longest range non-ultimate ability, which, along with its short cooldown, makes it your best poke ability, and it's great for finishing off targets who might otherwise be getting away. If you build something like Dreambinder on Shinbi, the Wolf is great for applying the slow, which can really help you close the distance with your Rushing Beat dashes. I recommend unlocking Line Tempo first, as its wave and jungle clear potential is the best in Shinbi's kit. I also recommend maxing this ability first, as the short cooldown and good damage will boost your DPS more than your other abilities. Line Tempo can collide with walls, and at the right angle will deflect off of them and kind of go around them, whereas if it's at a steeper angle, it'll just stop the ability dead in its tracks. That being said, some ledges you can aim upwards and throw the wolf up on top of it, but this is a bit of a rare scenario, and it makes the overall distance much shorter. Line Tempo also has no collision with turrets, so you can send it through to hit enemies on the other side who may be trying to take cover. Shinbi's E is Circle Rhythm. This summons a circle of spirit wolves around Shinbi that deal magic damage to all enemies that get too close. This magical damage is applied over multiple instances over the period of 3 seconds, which makes it great with Megacosm. Upon summoning these wolves, Shinbi is granted a shield for the duration of this ability. Shinbi gains the same shield a second time when the ability's duration expires. This shield is crucial to Shinbi's survivability in general, but is especially important when clearing jungle camps in the early game. I recommend unlocking this ability at level 2 in most cases, as the survivability is crucial. I typically max this out second unless the extra durability is needed. You can also consider putting a second point into this ability at level 4 for a bit of durability, then full leveling your Q after that before coming back to this and full leveling this one up. Circle Rhythm deals 7 instances of damage, so as you'll see later, that gets 1 stack short of getting your full ultimate stacks on a target. Shinbi's ultimate ability is All Kill. Dealing ability damage to enemy heroes applies a stack of track on that hero for 8 seconds, stacking up to 8 times. Activating your ultimate summons a pack of Spirit Wolves to attack the target with the most stacks of track. Each Spirit Wolf individually deals magical damage to the target. There is a spotlight indicator over the enemy with the most stacks, so you don't have to guess who the target of your ultimate will be. Just keep track of the spotlight. This is another ability that benefits greatly from Megacosm because each wolf does a separate instance of damage to the target in rapid succession. This ultimate ability has no line of sight or distance restrictions, so you can use it from any distance anywhere on the map you want relative to your enemy. Just keep in mind that the stacks only last for 8 seconds. As Shinbi in the jungle, you'll want to follow a few guidelines. Before minions spawn, ward your red buff, then go back to base, swap your ward for a sentry, and then head to blue buff. Your default clear should be blue buff, 4 minion camp, red buff, 5 minion camp, help or ambush on river buff, then look to gank as they often become available at this time, or just take your 2 minion red side camp if lanes aren't gankable. If your blue side lane is going to need an early gank, do a full blue clear, then help them out before going to your red side. Just be sure that your red buff doesn't get stolen in the meantime. If your blue side lane can be left to their own devices, do your standard blue to red clear. Shinbi is great at invading enemy jungle because she has her double dash if she needs to get away at a moment's notice. Just keep a close eye on where the enemy jungler is and make sure to use your sentry as to not be spotted as you invade. If you're laning as Shinbi, focus on getting CS until you reach level 3. Depending on your matchup, you may be best off going for a level 3 all-in. Just be sure to time it around your enemy's cooldowns. Use your wolves for CS whenever necessary, and don't be too afraid to spend the mana on it. You still won't burn through mana fast enough on most occasions. Your 2 main crest options are Occult Crest and Magician Crest, no matter if you're offlaning or jungling. As for items, it may not have been very long since her release, but I at least have a few ideas, so let's go over them real quick. There's a few different build routes you can take, my favorite, personally, being Megacosm. But you have, like I said, a lot of options. If you're going for a Megacosm build, Megacosm, Lifebinder, Caustica, Combustion can be really good, Oathkeeper's really good. You have a lot of good options, but Megacosm kind of being the core item. The other option is to make your main core item your Prophecy. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about builds, as there are some really good videos out there. In fact, in the description, you can go check out Enigma's build guide for Shinbi, as he lists 3 separate build options, and he goes into quite good detail about them and why they're good. But my personal favorite is the Megacosm option, so I definitely recommend doing that. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this helpful, hit that like button down below, and consider subscribing for future guides. If you want to see some gameplay, let me know down in the comment section, as I will certainly be playing a lot of this character. If you have anything to add, again, let me know down in the comment section, or if you have any special tips and tricks for me, I would love to hear them. Without further ado, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, evening, morning, afternoon, and night, and good luck gaming. Bye-bye.